I mean, we were competitive, sure, but we were still a team. At least, that's what I thought. I figured Liam's mood was just a temporary thing. The kind of sulk you get over after a good night's sleep or a win at the next game. But I was so wrong. That barbecue was the turning point. The moment I started to lose my brother, not to a fight or a misunderstanding, but to something darker, something I never saw coming. Over the next few weeks, Liam's attitude shifted in ways that made my skin crawl. He stopped meeting my eyes at the dinner table, stopped joking with me on the way to school. The kid who used to blast music in the car and beg me to duet with him on TikTok was gone, replaced by this cold, calculating stranger. He'd make these snide comments in front of our parents. Little jabs that sounded innocent, but cut deep. Like, Emma, you're spending a lot of time with Noah. Hope you're not slacking on your game. Or, wow, another A+? Guess you're the golden child now. His tone was all fake smiles, but his eyes were sharp, like he was sizing me up, waiting for me to slip. Our parents ate it up. They started nitpicking me more. Their praise for my basketball went fading fast. Emma, your free throws could use work, my dad said one night, glancing at Liam like he was the standard I should be chasing. My mom chimed in. Liam's been putting in extra hours at practice. You should take a page from his book. I tried to shrug it off, to tell myself it was just their usual game of pitting us against each other. But Liam wasn't playing along like he used to. Instead of rolling his eyes with me later, he'd nod along with them, like he was soaking up their approval, storing it like ammunition. I should have seen the signs, but I didn't want to believe my little brother could turn on me like that. Not Liam, the kid who cried when I left for summer camp because he'd miss me too much. Not my teammate. It all came crashing down one Tuesday morning, about a month after the championship. I was still half asleep, stumbling out of bed, when I heard my dad's voice thundering through the house. Emma Wilson, get down here now. There was a rage in his tone I'd never heard before, not even when I dented his car last year. I threw on a hoodie and ran downstairs, my heart racing. In the kitchen, my parents stood like statues, their faces hard as stone. My mom was clutching her phone, her knuckles white. And my dad's arms were crossed so tight I thought he might snap. Liam was there too, leaning against the counter, his expression unreadable except for this faint, smug glint in his eyes. What's going on? I asked, my voice shaky. My mom shoved her phone in my face, and I felt the air leave my lungs. There, on the screen, was a screenshot of a text conversation, supposedly from me, sent to Coach Thompson. The messages were vicious. You're a washed-up loser who can't coach a real team. I've been faking my way through practice, and worst of all, I cheated on my SATs to get those scores you're so proud of. My stomach twisted into knots. This isn't me, I said. My voice barely a whisper. I didn't send these. I swear. My dad's eyes narrowed, his voice low and dangerous. Don't lie to us, Emma. We raised you better than this. You've humiliated this family. I looked at my mom, pleading. Mom, you know me. I'd never say this stuff. Check my phone, there's nothing there. She shook her head, her lips trembling. Liam showed us the screenshots, Emma. And there's more. She swiped on her phone, and my heart stopped. Another screenshot, this time of messages supposedly from me to Noah, my boyfriend. They were cruel. Saying I was only dating him to make Liam jealous, that his basketball skills were a joke, and that I'd been sneaking around with his best friend, Jake. There was even a line mocking Noah's little sister, Lily, who has autism, calling her a burden he's stuck with. I felt like I was going to throw up. Noah was crazy about Lily. And I'd spent hours helping her with art projects, cheering her on at her school plays. I'd never say something so heartless. These are fake. I shouted, tears stinging my eyes. I didn't write any of this. But my parents weren't listening. My dad stepped closer, his voice like ice. Liam found these on your phone, Emma. He was worried about you, so he came to us. How could you do this to us? To your coach? To Noah? I turned to Liam, my voice breaking. Lee, tell them the truth. Tell them you made this up. But he just looked at me, his face calm, almost bored. I'm not the one lying, he said, and that smug glint in his eyes grew sharper. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a misunderstanding. Liam had planned this. Every single detail, to tear me down. Before I could say another word, my dad pointed to the stairs. Pack a bag and get out. We can't have you here until you're ready to own up to this. I stood there, stunned, my legs rooted to the floor. Dad, please, I begged. I'm telling the truth. Liam's lying. My mom's eyes filled with tears, but her voice was firm. We saw the proof, Emma. We heard your voice in the recording Liam showed us. My blood ran cold. Recording. I whispered. Liam pulled out his phone, pressed play, and there it was, my voice. Or something that sounded exactly like it, saying, I messed up, Lee. I cheated on the SATs, and I don't know what to do. It was so real, with the faint hum of my bedroom fan in the background. Even the way I sometimes called him Lee when we were serious. But I'd never said those words. Never. I tried to explain, to tell them it was fake, that Liam must have used some app to mimic my voice. But they weren't having it. My dad stood over me as I packed a backpack, his presence like a guard watching a prisoner. My mom kept muttering about how I'd ruined the family name. How they'd have to move to escape the shame. I grabbed whatever I could, some clothes, my phone charger, my wallet with $50, and tried to think straight. Where would I go? Noah wasn't answering my texts. My friends were at school, probably already hearing whispers of the lies Liam had spread. As I zipped up my bag, I caught a glimpse of Liam in the hallway, watching me with that same smug look. He wasn't even hiding it anymore. This wasn't my brother. This was someone who decided I was the enemy, and he was going to win at any cost. I stepped outside, the rain hitting me like a wall. The door closed behind me, and I stood there, shell-shocked, as our neighbor, Mrs. Gwynn, peered out from her porch, her eyes wide with curiosity. Perfect. Now the whole neighborhood would know the Wilson family's perfect daughter was a disgrace. I started walking, no plan, no direction, just needing to move. My phone buzzed, and I hoped it was Noah. But it was worse. A text from Liam. Have fun figuring this out, sis. Oh, and don't bother calling Noah. I took care of that too. My hands shook as I tried calling Noah. But it went straight to voicemail. I checked Instagram, and my heart sank. Noah had unfollowed me, blocked me on everything. Then I saw it, a post tagging me, with more fake screenshots of my text to Noah, saying I'd been using him, mocking his family, even laughing about how easy it was to fool him. The comments were brutal. Emma's trash. Noah dodged a bullet. What a psycho. My so-called friends were liking the post, sharing it, turning on me without a second thought. I ended up at Golden Gate Park, sitting on a soaked bench. The rain mixing with the tears, I couldn't stop. My life had unraveled in hours. 1 minute, I was a senior with a shot at a basketball scholarship, a great boyfriend, and a family that, yeah, was intense, but still mine. Now, I was homeless, with $50 to my name and a reputation in tatters. I tried calling Noah again, even using a park payphone, but he'd blocked that number, too. The fake texts were so detailed, mentioning private moments like our late-night talks at Ocean Beach, things only Noah and I knew. Liam must have been spying on us, collecting scraps of our lives to weaponize against me. The thought made me sick. I don't know how long I sat there, watching joggers pass by, oblivious to the fact that my world had imploded. My phone was dying, and I was starving, so I dragged myself to a McDonald's nearby, ordering the cheapest coffee on the menu to use their Wi-Fi. My reflection in the bathroom mirror was a stranger, puffy eyes, tangled hair, a face that looked like it hadn't slept in weeks. I messaged my friend Sarah, begging for a place to crash. But she didn't reply. It was a school day, and by now, Liam's lies were probably spreading through Bayview High like wildfire. That's when I remembered Mrs. Carter, our elderly neighbor who'd babysat us when we were kids. She lived alone now, a kind soul in a neighborhood obsessed with status. I walked the mile to her house, avoiding my street, my shoes squishing with every step. When I got there, she was pruning her roses, rain or no rain. "Emma, what on earth?" she said, her face creasing with worry. I tried to explain, but the words came out in sobs. She didn't push, just led me inside, made me tea, and listened as I poured out the whole story, Liam's lies, the fake texts, the recording, my parents kicking me out. "That doesn't sound like the Liam I know," she said, but her voice was gentle, not doubting. She let me shower, gave me a clean t-shirt, and made up her guest room. As I lay in bed, exhausted but too wired to sleep, I heard her on the phone, her voice low and firm. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew she was calling my parents, trying to talk sense into them. The next morning, my phone was buzzing with notifications. Liam had gone viral. He'd posted a TikTok, his face somber, his voice dripping with fake concern. "I hate to do this," he said, "but Emma's been lying to everyone. She cheated, disrespected our coach, and now she's run away. I just want her to come home." The comments were a knife to the heart. Poor Liam, Emma's unhinged. What a terrible sister. I showed the video to Mrs. Carter, my hands shaking. "He's lying to the whole world," I said. She nodded, her eyes sharp. "You need to fight this, Emma. Not with his tactics, but with the truth. You're stronger than he thinks." The rain pelted down, soaking through my hoodie as I stood frozen on the sidewalk. The door to my home slamming shut behind me with a cold, final thud. My mom's words echoed in my head, sharp as a knife. "We'll talk when you're ready to be honest." Honest? I'd screamed the truth until my voice cracked those texts, that chilling voice recording, they weren't mine. But Liam, my little brother, had woven a web of lies so convincing that my own parents believed I was a liar, a cheat, a disgrace. The kid I'd protected from playground bullies, the one I'd snuck extra cookies for during our late-night movie marathons, had turned into a stranger. And the worst part? He was winning. He'd turned our parents against me, sabotaged my relationship with Noah, and left me standing here, 18 years old, with a soggy backpack, $50 in my pocket, and a phone buzzing with notifications from people who thought I'd betrayed everyone I loved. My name is Emma Wilson, and this is the story of how my brother tried to destroy me and how I fought back. As I trudged through the San Francisco fog, the city's gray haze swallowing Willow Creek Lane, my phone buzzed again. For a fleeting second, I hoped it was Noah or maybe my mom, ready to apologize for believing Liam's lies. But no, it was worse. A TikTok notification. Liam had posted a video, his face somber, his voice dripping with fake sincerity. "I hate to air family drama," he said, staring into the camera, his dark curls falling just right, but Emma's been lying to everyone. She cheated on her SATs, disrespected our coach, and now she's playing the victim. "I just want my sister to get help." The comments were a wildfire. "Wow, Emma's such a fake. You're a good brother. Liam, she doesn't deserve you." I stood there, rain dripping down my face, watching the video rack up thousands of views. My own brother was dragging me through the mud in front of the entire internet, and people were eating it up like it was reality TV. I made my way to Mrs. Carter's house, my sneakers squishing with every step. She was waiting on her porch, her kind eyes narrowing with worry as she saw me. "Emma, honey, what's happened?" she asked, pulling me into a hug before I could even speak. I broke down, the weight of Liam's betrayal, my parents' rejection, and Noah's silence crashing over me like a tidal wave. Inside, over a steaming cup of chamomile tea, I showed her Liam's TikTok. She watched in silence, her lips pressed tight. "That boy's playing a dangerous game," she said finally, her voice low but firm. "But you're stronger than this, Emma. You've got to fight back, not with lies like his, but with the truth." Her words lit a spark in me, but I felt helpless. Liam's screenshots and recordings were so polished, so real, that my clean phone records felt like nothing. I had no proof, just my word against his, and he was the golden child now. That night, I couldn't sleep. Mrs. Carter's guest room was warm, with a quilt that smelled faintly of lavender, but my mind was a storm. I kept replaying that fake recording, my voice saying things I'd never said. "I messed up, Lee. I cheated on the SATs." How had he done it? I borrowed Mrs. Carter's ancient laptop and started digging. Google showed me dozens of apps, AI voice mimickers that could clone someone's voice with just a few clips, text forging tools that could fake entire conversations. Liam was a tech wizard. He'd been building gaming PCs since middle school. This was child's play for him. But knowing how wasn't enough. I needed evidence, something to prove he'd orchestrated this nightmare. The next morning, Mrs. Carter set a plate of pancakes in front of me, her way of coaxing me back to life. "You're going to school today, right?" she asked, her voice gentle but insistent. My stomach churned. School meant Bayview High, where Liam's lies had probably spread like a virus. But then I remembered the basketball awards ceremony tonight, the big event where our coach would hand out trophies for the season. Liam was getting the MVP award, and I was supposed to get Most Improved Player. Skipping it would be like admitting I was guilty, letting Liam's lies define me. "Yeah," I said, forcing a nod. "I'm going, Mrs." Carter's smile was warm, but her eyes were worried. "Be careful, Emma. And if you need me, I'm a phone call away." I spent the day at her house, avoiding my phone as notifications piled up. My so-called best friend, Sarah, finally texted, "Is it true? Did you cheat?" I wanted to scream. Instead, I typed, "No, Sarah. It's all lies. Please believe me." She didn't reply. By the time I headed to school for the ceremony, my nerves were frayed. The gym was packed, students, parents, teachers, the air electric with excitement. I slipped in through a side door, head down. But I could feel the stares, the whispers trailing me like smoke. Liam was near the stage, laughing with his teammates, his charm on full display. When he saw me, his smile flickered. But he quickly turned away, like I was nothing. The ceremony began, and I sat in the back, trying to disappear. Coach Thompson gave a speech about teamwork and grit, his words stinging because I knew he'd seen Liam's fake texts. When they called Liam's name for MVP, the crowd roared. He jogged to the stage, all charisma, shaking Coach's hand like he owned the place. I clapped, but my hands felt heavy, my chest tight with anger. Then they called my name for Most Improved Player. The gym went quiet. A few awkward claps breaking the silence. I walked to the stage, my legs like jelly, and took the trophy from Coach. His nod was curt, his eyes guarded, like he wasn't sure who I was anymore. As I turned to leave, I caught Liam's gaze. He was smirking like he'd already won the war. That smirk broke something in me. I couldn't let him get away with this. Not after he'd taken everything, my family, my boyfriend, my reputation. I turned back to the microphone, my heart pounding so loud it drowned out the crowd. "Can I say something?" I asked, my voice echoing through the gym. Coach hesitated but nodded. The room fell silent, every eye on me. I took a shaky breath. You've all seen the posts about me, the texts, the rumors, that TikTok. But they're lies. I didn't cheat on my SATs. I didn't trash Coach or Noah. My brother, Liam, made it all up. The gym exploded in gasps and murmurs. Liam's face went white, his smirk vanishing. He faked the screenshots, the voice recording everything, because he was jealous. He couldn't stand that I was doing well, that I was getting attention. So he hacked my accounts, mimicked my voice, and spread lies to destroy me. I pulled out my phone, my hands trembling but my voice steady. I found proof. A few days ago, Liam left his laptop open at home. I took a chance and checked it. He had a folder with apps, text forge, voice mimic, tools to fake texts and voices. I took screenshots. I held up my phone, showing the crowd a photo of Liam's laptop screen, the apps glaringly obvious. This is what he used to frame me. He wanted to be the star, and he was willing to ruin my life to get there. The gym was chaos now, whispers, shouts, phones filming. Liam stood frozen, his eyes wide with panic. I turned to him, my voice breaking. "Why, Lee? We were a team. Why did you do this?" He didn't answer, just stared at the floor, his fists clenched. Coach grabbed the microphone. "That's enough, Emma. We'll handle this." But I wasn't done. I looked out at the crowd, my voice rising. I'm not a liar. I'm not a cheat. And I'm not going to let my brother's lies define me. I stepped off the stage, the crowd parting like a sea. Some people clapped, others stared in shock. Noah was there, near the bleachers, his face a mix of guilt and confusion. I walked past him, too raw to stop, and headed for the exit. The cool night air hit me, and I realized I was crying not from sadness, but from the release of finally fighting back. The next morning, my phone was a war zone. A classmate had posted a video of my speech on TikTok with the caption, "Emma Wilson exposes her brother's lies." It was going viral, with thousands of shares and comments like, "Liam's a snake, Emma. You're a queen. How could a brother do that?" But there were also haters, people saying I'd faked the screenshots to save face, that I was just jealous of Liam's MVP award. The school announced an investigation, suspending Liam from the basketball team pending the results. My parents called, their voices stiff, asking me to come home. "We need to talk, Emma." My mom said, but there was no warmth, no apology, just embarrassment over the public drama. I told them I'd stay with Mrs. Carter for now. I needed space to breathe, to figure out how to rebuild from the ashes Liam had left behind. 3 days later, Liam dropped another bomb. He posted a new TikTok, this one a tearful apology. He sat in his room, his eyes red, his voice shaky. "I messed up," he said, looking straight into the camera. "I let jealousy get the better of me. I didn't mean for things to go this far. Emma, I'm so sorry." But it felt wrong, like he was reading lines for an Oscar. His tears looked forced, his words too perfect. The comments were a battlefield, half the viewers bought it, calling him brave for owning up. While others saw through the act, crocodile tears, he's just scared of getting caught. I watched the video at Mrs. Carter's, my jaw tight. "He's not sorry," I said, slamming my phone down. "Mrs. Carter nodded, her eyes wise. "Some people apologize because they're caught, not because they mean it. Focus on you, Emma. You've got a fight worth winning." Noah texted that night, asking to meet. We sat at a coffee shop near school, the same one where we'd had our first date. He looked like he hadn't slept, his eyes heavy with guilt. "I should have believed you," he said, his voice breaking. Those texts, they looked so real. I didn't know what to think. "I'm sorry, Em. I wanted to be angry, but I was just exhausted." "You should have talked to me, Noah," I said. "Liam fooled everyone. But you didn't even give me a chance." He nodded, staring at his coffee. "I know. I messed up. Can we fix this?" I didn't have an answer. The trust between us was cracked, and I needed time to decide if it could be repaired. "I'll let you know," I said, and he didn't push. Over the next week, the school's investigation confirmed my story. They found the apps on Liam's laptop, and he admitted to faking the texts and recording. He was kicked off the basketball team for the season, and our parents grounded him indefinitely, though I doubted they'd stick to it. They apologized to me, but it felt like a formality, like they were more upset about the neighbors' gossip than about kicking me out. I moved back home. But the house felt like a minefield. Liam barely spoke to me, and when he did, his eyes held no remorse, just a quiet, simmering resentment. I wondered if he'd ever change, or if he'd always see me as the enemy. But something else came out of this mess, something bigger than Liam's lies or my parents' betrayal. I realized I was stronger than I thought. Liam had tried to break me, but I'd stood up, spoken my truth, and taken back my story. At school, I started a support group for kids dealing with family pressure and competition. It's small. Just a few of us meeting in the library after class, but every time someone shares their story, about parents who compare, siblings who sabotage, or expectations that crush, I feel a little less alone. It's not just about me anymore. It's about helping others find their voice, too. As for Liam, I don't know if we'll ever be close again. He's still my brother. But trust is like glass. Once it's shattered, you can't just glue it back together. I'm focusing on my future now. College applications, basketball. And figuring out who I am without my parents' scorecards or Liam's shadow. This whole ordeal taught me something I'll carry forever. Life isn't about winning at all costs. It's about staying true to yourself, even when the people you love most turn against you. Betrayal hurts, but it doesn't define you unless you let it. If you've ever been stabbed in the back by someone you trusted, you know that gut-wrenching feeling, like the ground's been ripped out from under you. But here's what I've learned. You don't have to stay down. You can stand up, fight for your truth, and keep going. And maybe, just maybe, you'll inspire someone else to do the same. So, what do you think? Was I right to call Liam out in front of everyone? Should I have handled it differently? Drop a comment below, I want to hear your take. And if you've got a story like mine, share it. You're not alone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.